Hi Stampin' Friends, it's Chris Slogar from BuckeyeInklings.com, and today I'm going to show you how to make this cute little gift shadow box that holds a Bath & Body Works hand sanitizer. So, of course, these are super popular right now. And I've got a pumpkin one, so I made a pumpkin themed one. Of course, these would be great in any theme, any paper. I'll even show you later some smaller sizes of this that you can put chapsticks in and use the same shadow box idea. Okay, but let's get started. I chose this plaid tidings paper, the one with Mango Melody. I thought even with the Melon Mambo, it looks great for fall. Of course, I used our Harvest Hello for the pumpkin and the Apple Builder Punch. Okay, so those are really cute decorations, but of course, the bulk of the work is in creating this shadow box. So let's get started with that. You need a piece of cardstock. I've got cinnamon cider here that measures 8 by 9 1/4. And I'm going to score it. Now, let me just give you a little idea of the shape we're going for to make a shadow box is something like this. Okay, it looks really crazy and complicated. It is defined by 4 score lines on each side of a rectangular piece of cardstock that you start with. Okay, so that's all. And the score lines are related to the height of the item and then the width of the frame, which in this case is, it's a 1/2 inch shadow box, 1/2 inch on every side of the object. So it's not that terribly complicated once you see how it's done. So the score lines in this case, and we're going to do this on all 4 sides of this cardstock, are at 1/2 inch, 1 3/8, 1 7/8, and 2 3/4. Okay, and we've got to turn it and do that on all 4 sides. The same 1/2, 1 3/8, 1 7/8, and 2 3/4. Okay, we're going all the way around. So that big mess of score lines is pretty much done. We just need to add two little additional score lines here. I've got a drawing of this as well. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 score lines, and then we need one more that only goes part way here and here on each of the long sides. Okay, so what we're going to do is we've got the long side to the top of the scoreboard, and we're going to score at 3 1/4, but only come down to the second score line. Okay, so we're scoring through 2 sections. And then we're going to do the same thing at the 6 inch mark, only to that second section, that second score line. And we're doing the same thing on the other side, the other long side at 3 1/4 and 6. We're coming down to that second score line. All right, so I'm going to now start cutting this shape here. I'm going to put this out so you can see a little bit better maybe than on the cardstock what I'm doing. What I like to do to get this started, the base is easily identified. Okay, it's the big rectangle in the center. So I like to start by cutting this line that starts at the edge and goes right into the corner of the base. And that identifies where this tab is going to be. Okay, so I'm going to do that and cut right to that corner of the base. And then I know this is going to be the tab. Now, in the tab section, this is the only one that I'm not using the score line to cut. I'm going to cut that tab inside the score line. So instead of following the score line, I'm going to make that tab just a little shorter. Okay, and just cut out that section, okay? But I'm inside the score line there. And then I'm going to cut the other side of the tab and then the other side up to the tab. And I'm going to cut that little partial score line, just going to cut along that. And then to make the diagonal, I've not scored this at all. I'm just cutting that 1/2 inch wide, 1/2 inch long section, just cutting directly up to that end point of that partial score line. Okay, to make that, okay, and that matches that shape. That's what we're going for. So let me do that on one more side to show you. And again, I've identified that corner point of the base. I'm going to cut to that first, and then I know I'm working with the tab section. I'm cutting a little bit inside the score line at the tab so that the tab is a little shorter than where the score line was. I'm cutting alongside the tab. I'm cutting alongside the adjacent section, just to the tab. I'm cutting the partial score line and then the diagonal up to it. And it's easier for me to turn around like this, I always feel. Okay, so there we're halfway done. And on each of these pieces that are going to be a tab where I know I'm going to do some assembly, I'm making a little wedge end so that any hard corner doesn't get in the way of my construction. Okay, I'm also doing that at the tabs. And on the tab ends where I know I need to fold in a section, I'm doing that. And I'm also going to turn it around, do the other side the same way. Okay, so that is halfway done. And I'm just going to speed up the recording while I do the other side and then join you back to show you how to assemble it. Okay, I have the shape created that I need, and now we'll start assembling. Let me move this aside. I need to put tear and tape on each of the 4 outer tabs that I identified. And remember, these are the ones I wedged a little bit to make the assembly easier. And then each of the 4 small tabs. So I'm also going to speed up the video while I do that. Okay, and then last but not least, on the other side, I'm going to flip this over and put some small pieces of tear and tape along those diagonals. All right, it's okay if the tear and tape goes across a score line, just so that it doesn't go outside of the diagonal cut. All right. Now I'm going to burnish all of these score lines. All right, and then starting on the shorter side, I'm going to remove the tear and tape and build up those box ends first. Okay, so that'll be the first part of the shadow box that goes into 3D. And to do that, I've got that first section folded back, and then I'm also going to fold. So I folded on the first score line. I'm also going to fold on the third score line. Okay, so I'm folding there. I'm skipping one and then folding on the third so that that tear and tape meets within the box bottom, okay, within the base portion, okay? So you're going to fold this over and you're only going to see 2 sections now, but it's going to stand up perfectly into a nice rectangle, okay? So it's always easier if you can build these 3D things by putting them flat, because then they come out really true and square. Okay, so same thing on the other side. We're folding in on the 1st and 3rd score lines to create that box end. All right, and now we're gonna take away the rest of our adhesive backing and build the 3rd and 4th sides. So I'm just removing so that the adhesive is exposed, but I'm not gonna start sticking things yet. And if you have any tear and tape that sticks out, you can just kind of fold it back on itself. Add some over here too. And I'm also taking off the ones on the diagonal, just so this will be ready to go. Okay, so we've got 2 box ends ready, and the tabs adjacent to those, we're going to fold in, and then at each corner, we're going to bring up the adjacent side, the cut edge, and make a nice 3D true corner, a nice square corner. Okay, so again, the tab is folded in, and we're bringing the adjacent side, the cut edge, up to that corner to make a nice true corner. Same thing. There's the 3rd one and the 4th one. Okay, so all we have left now is to force this side into place. And the easiest way to do that is to, there's kind of like 4 sections here, fold in half. So fold on the middle line and have that edge, the edge of the construction, or the cardstock, press right down into the corner that's formed at the bottom of the box, okay? And then we want, where the tear and tape is, we want to roll that in so that it adheres to the box bottom, okay? It's going to also be within that base section. So I'm standing that up nice and straight, because at the same time, these diagonals are going to come down and adhere to their adjacent corners. So I'm standing that up, and then I'm kind of rolling that in so that the bottom and the top of that side adhere all at the same time. Okay, going to do the same thing here. I'm folding in on the halfway point, and then I'm standing that up nice and straight, and then rolling in the side to create my box. Okay, and here the hand sanitizer, you can see, fits. Okay, so to build this into a this little book kind of shape, I've got a piece of melon mambo that measures 6 3/8 by 3 7/8, and it's scored at 2 3/4 and 3 5/8. Just going to take my Stampin' Seal, actually the Seal Plus, because that's for 3D items, and put it along where that box needs to be secured into place. Now, before I put the box into place, I also need to catch the strap on the underside here. So I've got another piece of melon mambo that measures 3/4 by 3 1/4. It's scored at 1/2 and 1 3/8. And I'm going to find the midpoint here and put the edge. I'm going to put it so that the first score line matches the outer edge of the cardstock, of the cover, if you will. Okay, so then that 1/2 inch tab is locked down to the bottom of the piece. Okay, and then I'm going to kind of center my shadow box in there vertically and roll this down into place. And there I have my shadow box enclosed in my little cover. Okay, so you can do this however you want. You could have ribbon to tie this up, or you can have like a piece of Velcro here to hold this shut, whatever you want to do. I just made this tab to slip under my shapes here because it's just so easy. Okay, so on the front, oh, I should have put my designer paper and my matte piece down first, but that's okay. So I've got designer paper that measures 3.5 by 2 3/8, and I'm matting it to Mango Melody that measures 3 5/8 by 2.5. Oh, that's confusing. And then I'm going to put that on the front of the box, or the front of the favor. Okay, so you can see this would have been easier to do before it was in 3D, but that's fine. Can do it. Okay, and then I have a piece of cinnamon cider here cut from the Stitch So Sweetly dies, and I'm actually going to build this up on 2 dimensionals. So I'm putting dimensionals down at top and bottom. This center area is where the strap is going to slide in, but I'm going to build that 2 high just so it's a little easier to get the strap in. So I am then going to center that on my front. And then I've already got the Harvest Hello pumpkin made with a garden green stem. And this is, again, Mango Melody. Goes with the paper. Makes a really nice bright pumpkin. I've got a braided linen twine bow that I've already made. And I'm going to add a leaf that I pre-cut. This is fussy cut. This isn't the one that fits in the punch. So I'm going to just stick that in there. And then I'm going to use the Banner Year set. I've got a great greeting, happy fall, y'all, that I can put on. I've got a 1/2 inch strip of Whisper White here, and I'm just stamping that, and then I'm going to use my Banner Pick-a-Size punch to make the flag ends. And since that's wiggling around in there a little bit, I'm going to turn it over and make sure I'm kind of symmetric on the flag end there. I don't want it to be uneven. So if you're not sure, you know, like that would be really uneven, you can turn it over and look in the window here to see, make sure you're happy with how that's punching. Okay, and I'm just gonna add a little, my Tombow glue here, and stick this in place. And there we have our little hand sanitizer gift. And I can slide that strap right under that cinnamon cider label that I popped up so high. It's pretty easy to get in there. All right, so that is the hand sanitizer version. Now, I've also made, well, I made a hand sanitizer going in this direction too, which has the same shadow box. Here, let me work with this one because the other one's not dry. Has the same exact shadow box, but instead I put a designer paper sleeve on it. And this sleeve measures, the designer paper started at 3 7/8 by 7.5, and I just kind of wrapped it around and creased the corners to make a sleeve. Okay, so that's another version. And then, like I said, you can make this in different sizes. So the one we made in our team meeting was this one, which holds a little chapstick. Okay, but the similar thing here is that we've got a 1/2 inch frame, and then we've altered the height, but that's not a big deal. And of course, the shape of the object determines how big your cardstock is to start. So let me just show you real quick. Oh, this is also a chapstick, pumpkin pie. Let me just show you on my hand-drawn pattern how that works. So if you have an object like this, hand sanitizer is about 1.5 inch wide and 2 3/4 inches long. So you know it needs to fit in that base, and it needs to have a 1/2 inch frame all around it, so on all sides. So you can make your base whatever the dimensions of the object are, plus 1 inch, right? For a 1/2 inch on each side. Okay, and that defines your base. And then you know you need whatever the height is. In this case, it's 7/8 inch. You need a height, a width adjacent to the base that measures the same as the height. And then you need the 1/2 inch, which is the frame dimension. And then you need another height, and you need another 1/2 inch, which is the frame dimension that locks down to the base. Okay, so basically, if you start in the center with your object and work out, you can size this for different objects. So here, this is the one that I had sent my team because we made this in a team meeting. This was for a chapstick, and it was kind of the same thing. I just planned on a 5/8 inch wide chapstick that's 2 5/8 inch long. Yeah, because then the opening is, or the base is 3 5/8. You add 1/2 inch because you're going to have this 1/2 inch frame all around. And then the dimensions are different because the height was different. So the first adjacent section is the height, 5/8, and then there is a 1/2 inch section and a 5/8 inch section and a 1/2 inch section. Okay, so you can plan this for any item that you need to create a shadow box for. All right, so if you want to see still pictures of this, and I'll also have the dimensions written out on my website, that's buckeyeinklings.com. By the way, if you're shopping in September, if you need any of these great products, I have free wonderful gems with a $35 purchase if you use that host code. And visit me at buckeyeinklings.com to see the still pictures. I'll have the dimensions written out, lots of other ideas there. And of course, any online shopping that you can do really helps me out to keep bringing you ideas. Okay, thanks guys.